Before I talk, I need to show you something. This is America. Now, this is Trump, okay? This is the dollar, the bond market. This is the empire trying to breathe. Now, just take a look at America's side of the board. America has pawns, rooks, knights, has queens, it has Wall Street, the Fed, aircraft. America has the dollar, it has sanctions, it has intelligence agencies. America has media, Silicon Valley. America has the world's reserve currency. It looks like America has all its ducks in a row. Now, look at Iran.
I'm going to bomb the out of them. It's true.
I'm sorry. Look at Iran. Its economy is bleeding. Its currency is under pressure. Its infrastructure has taken a hit. Its military has been all but blown away. Its allies are weakened. Its people are suffering. But Iran still has one piece left: the bishop, religion. And that bishop is sitting right on the diagonal of one of the most important straits in the world, Hormuz. And this is what makes the board dangerous. You see, Iran is not trying to win the game, at least not in the normal way. Iran is not trying to become stronger than America. I mean, look, it can't. Iran is not even trying to have more ships, more dollars. It's not trying to have more aircraft carriers. And you might ask, why is Iran still in the game? Because Iran is doing something much more sinister. Iran is saying, if I can't win, I'll just make sure you can't breathe. It's not chess, that's strangulation. Now watch this. It doesn't need to capture the king. It just needs to pin him, to trap him. It says, you can stab me, you can sanction me, you can bomb me, you can wound me, but as long as my hand is around Hormuz, your economy can't breathe.
Well, hello, everybody. This is a live broadcast today. And so I'm just going to start by proving I'm live and shouting out to you. Blessings to Roma. Blessings also to Gwendolyn Niels, Sheila. God bless you. Stephanie. God bless you, No Joy E4G. I don't know what these handles mean, but I'm sure all of you know what they mean. Blessings to Carlene Sturgeon, Teresa, hello from New Jersey. Please, every single person, hit the share button right now, because what's about to happen on Wednesday is going to affect every single believer in the world. And in case you don't know, the Strait of Hormuz has finally found some kind of ceasefire, peace deal, where everybody suddenly decided conveniently before election cycle hits that we're all going to stop fighting one another and get fantastically and wonderfully along. And it actually reminds me of this prophetic word that I put out that I want to just share with you, so you can remember that the Lord actually said this. When was this? Do you remember, like 2020, 2021, 2020? Well, the timestamp's on the video. Let's fact check and see.
And at least 3 times it backfired. They called it ceasefire. Call ceasefire. And I saw it looking like ceasefire was imminent. Then war started again. Call a ceasefire. Ceasefire. Then war started again. And each time it started again, it escalated because somebody wasn't keeping the terms of the ceasefire. But I saw the Lord's hand involved in this because there was an acceleration of something that was happening for Israel to reclaim its territory.
Isn't that crazy? Call ceasefire, and then war started again. Call ceasefire, then war started again. This has arguably been the most frustrating season to probably President Donald Trump, because you've probably called ceasefire a couple of times and then not seen ceasefire come. just exactly as the word of the Lord said, even before there was an Iran-US war upon the Strait of Hormuz. Well, welcome back to Prophetic Education, of course, interpreting the age. To my 400,000 Issachars and Issachants, to the Christians and Crustians, the saints and the ain'ts, the almost saints, the I'm still processing church hurt saints, and the I only came because the thumbnail frightened me saints. I want to welcome you back. Today is not about panic, ironically, as much as it sounds like it is. Today is actually about clarity. Because panic is what happens when you see events, but you don't understand systems, times, and seasons. Discernment is what happens when you can see the event, trace the system, and interpret the spirit and know exactly what to do next. If you're that person, if you're an Issacharite, just say Issachar. If you're an Issachant, just say Issachant. It's fine if you're an Issachant, because by the end of today, I hope you become an Issachar. I hope that every single one of you commit right now, before I continue, share this link. Slap that share button silly and hit that subscribe button, because we've just got told that 50% of you don't actually subscribe. You just watch. Hit the bell, and my promise to you is that I'm going to continue to try and interpret the times currently for you so that you don't panic, you prepare well. That's my commitment for your subscription. Thank you in advance. I want to talk not just what Israel ought to feel. See, Issachar doesn't just tell you what to do. Issachar tells you to take action. Notice the Bible didn't say the sons of Issachar, who had understandings of the time, to tell Israel how to feel or to tell Israel how to post. No, not just what Israel ought to rebuke in tongues while completely ignoring the bond market. They knew what Israel ought to do. And today I want to talk to you not about fear, not about hysteria, not sell everything and move to a mountain with canned beans and suspicious Wi-Fi from Ukraine. No, I want to talk about where the world is moving this Wednesday. Who benefits from what we call hawks, and who benefits from what we call doves? What is a hawk and a dove? What is a more sure bet in a shaken age? What Trump should do, if indeed today he's listening, or perhaps you work in his cabinet and you'd like to share this with him, and why God may be releasing ravens, not hawks and not doves, but ravens, because ravens are strange birds. A hawk says war, a dove says peace. But a raven says provision from an unusual, unexpected, and possibly quite sinister place. And that's where we're going. Why Hormuz is such a chokehold? I want to make this really simple. The Strait of Hormuz is this narrow waterway, in case you can't find it on a map until just recently, is through which a huge portion of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas moves. So when Hormuz closes, oil panics. When oil panics, inflation wakes up. When inflation wakes up, interest rates get nervous. And I know what you're saying. Hang on a second, Tomi. America produces its own oil. Why do we care about some oil in some offshore place called Iran or Hormuz? Because the truth is, the world's currency is currently set at the US dollar. That means if the world is trading oil in US currency and oil is getting choked up, then America will definitely feel it, and also the rest of the world. When interest rates get nervous, bonds start trembling. And no, I'm not talking about James Bond, I'm talking about Treasury bonds. When bonds tremble, America starts sweating, because America does not merely run on oil, America runs on debt. I'll say it again, America runs on debt. That's the sentence, the death sentence, the debt sentence. America runs on debt. And before I continue, come on, let's get this up to at least 1,000 people today. Just like and share. And once you said I've shared, just say I've shared in the comments, and I'll be glad to continue. Now, I know that doesn't sound spiritual, but if you understand scripture, debt is deeply spiritual. The borrower is servant to the lender. That's not just an accounting category. Debt is future obedience sold in advance. When you borrow, you're not merely taking money, you are surrendering a portion of tomorrow, your children's tomorrow, in trillions of dollars of debt that no generation can ever repay in its lifetime. And America has surrendered a lot of tomorrow. So now the empire must constantly refinance its future like a dodgy mortgage from a shark lender. Imagine a man who has so many credit cards that every morning he wakes up and says, Lord, give us this day our daily rollover. That's America. It's not just paying debt, it's replacing old debt with new debt. It's borrowing to pay what it previously borrowed. And as long as interest rates are low, the game continues. But if interest rates rise too much, the game becomes dangerous. And that's what the Strait of Hormuz is all about. Because now every new dollar America borrows simply becomes more expensive. So Iran doesn't need to defeat America militarily. And that's why this ceasefire feels so globally convenient. And suddenly Trump is kowtowing to Emmanuel Macron, when just a few months ago he was lamenting, or laughing rather, about how his wife slapped him down a flight of stairs on an airplane because somehow world leaders must work together on a country that neither of them like, because whether they like it or not, they're all bedfellows tied somewhat inconveniently to the same currency. So Iran is left going, we don't need to defeat America militarily. And hear what the Spirit of God said to me. He said, a country willing to die for their God will always be stronger than a country not even willing to live for its God. So Iran doesn't care about death, doesn't care about whether its citizens die. It's already said death to America. It wants you to die more than it wants it to live. So Iran doesn't need to Iran's already defeated, just like my analogy at the beginning. So why is Iran still fighting? Iran only has to squeeze the neck of Trump long enough. And what's the neck of Trump? It's the Strait of Hormuz. If he can squeeze that oil canal long enough to make inflation rise, interest rates rise, bond buys demand more return, or simply another election cycle where people get so fed up they vote in mess anyway, and the debt machine starts coughing. That is why Hormuz matters so much. Hormuz is not just a waterway. Hormuz is the neck of America being squeezed by an already defeated enemy. It's the hand around the throat of a debt-based empire that's shooting furiously at the enemy in an action sequence while the enemy is still holding its neck, going, stab me, I'll never let you go until we're both dead at the same time. Why Wednesday matters. All eyes are on tomorrow, this Wednesday. Why? Because the Federal Reserve meets. And the market is not really asking, will they cut rates? Most people already expect them not to cut. The real question is not what Kevin Warsh, who's the new Federal Reserve CEO, does. The real question is what Kevin Warsh says. Now, this is where I need Issachar to open their ears. Are your ears open? Thank you so much, by the way, to Noel Curtis for sharing. Thank you so much to Yanni Castro for sharing. Kevin Howard for sharing. I appreciate all of you sharers so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, the real question is not what Kevin Warsh does. Again, the real question is what Kevin Warsh says. And this is where finance becomes hilarious, because Wall Street is basically a room full of billionaires trying to interpret tone. Like a woman reading a text message that says, fine. He said, inflation is moderating. What does moderating mean? He said, conditions are balance like stable, or balance like we're about to fall off a chair. He said temporary. These are the small little words that speculators are going to be looking out for on Wednesday as they hear the speech, because that's all economics is, speculation and fear. Did he mean transitory? Did he mean dovish? Did he blink twice? Did he sip water before saying Treasury market? Wall Street becomes prophetic when money is on the line. They're not listening to sentences, they're listening to signals. A dove signal, for instance, if you hear the word dove this Wednesday, it means we may lower rates. Liquidity may come. The system may receive oxygen. A hawk signal, if you hear him say that this Wednesday, means inflation is still dangerous. Rates may stay high. Liquidity may remain tight. So Wednesday is not about the rate decision. Wednesday is about the tone of the rescue. So let's talk about hawks and doves and who benefits. Let me define this for us, the normal people, okay? A hawk is a central banker who says inflation is dangerous, keep rates high, don't let the economy overheat. A dove is a central banker who says the economy needs support, cut rates, add liquidity, let growth breathe. In Bible language, the hawk says judgment, the dove says mercy. The hawk says tighten, the dove says release. The hawk says discipline, the dove says comfort. And the same language is being used by our economists likely this Wednesday. Now, who benefits from a hawk? If Wash, the new director of the Federal Reserve, sounds hawkish, meaning he focuses on inflation and higher for longer rates. Okay, I'll say it again, inflation and higher for longer rates. Just know that's hawkish. Then cash becomes powerful. The dollar may strengthen. Short-term treasury bills may remain attractive. Money markets, funds, may still pay decent yields. Defensive assets may hold better. Overvalued growth stocks may struggle. Bitcoin may struggle. Speculative AI names may struggle. Weak companies that need cheap money may get punished. A hawk benefits because people already have cash, discipline, patience, and the ability to wait. A hawk punishes people who are over leveraged, emotional, and addicted to cheap money. In simple language, a hawk is bad for people who built a mansion on a credit card. Now, who benefits from a dove? Okay, if Wash sounds dovish tomorrow, meaning he hints that cuts are coming or the Fed is willing to support the bond market, then what that means for us is liquidity returns. That means stocks may rise, gold may rise, silver may rise, Bitcoin may rise, commodities may rise, real estate may rise, AI and tech can breathe again, risk assets may get oxygen. A dove benefits people who own assets before the liquidity comes, because liquidity is like rain, okay? When rain falls, whatever is planted grows. If you planted wheat, wheat grows. If you planted weeds, they grow. If you planted nothing, you stand there wet and philosophical. That is why preparation matters. So what's the most sure bet for us? Now, I must say this clearly, and I've got to repeat myself. I'm a prophet. I'm not a financial advisor. I am a prophetic educator. I'm not your prophetic guru. So do not sell your house because Tomi moved a chess piece on a YouTube video. Take counsel, pray, study. Don't become reckless. But we can talk about strategy, okay? And before we do, I've got to encourage all of you. I've got to pause here for a second to tell you all about understandmydream.com. Understandmydream.com is a website where people who have obviously prayed, sought God first, can go there to have their dream decoded, confirmed. It's a free-to-use service unless you want the paid service, which gives you more credits to be able to interpret your dreams in a more advanced way. Head on over there now, understandmydream.com. It's an exceptional service for those of you who want to benefit from that. And now back to this. Let's talk about strategy. If the system is moving into a real, what we call a real asset super cycle, then the more sure bet is not chasing every shiny AI company. The more sure bet is understanding what every future requires. Every future requires energy, data, storage, power, land, chips, security, water, and infrastructure. That is why I keep saying, do not only invest in the singer, invest in the stage. Don't only invest in the preacher, invest in the building. You understand my analogy? Don't only invest in the app, invest in the data center. Do not only invest in AI, invest in what AI must consume in order for AI to exist. There's chips, factories, energy, grids, land, water, metals, cybersecurity, electricity. So the more sure bet may be the infrastructure beneath the hype and not the hype itself. During the gold rush, many miners went broke. But can I tell you who didn't go broke? It was the people selling shovels, jeans, transport, picks, food, and lodging. They did very well. Arguably, they made more money than the people who were digging for gold. In the AI rush, right, the shovels are semiconductors. Things like data centers, the boring stuff, power generators, natural gas, nuclear, grid infrastructures, cooling systems, cybersecurity, fiber, cloud infrastructure, land near power, and real assets. That is the more sober way to think. Not which AI chatbot will win, but what must every AI winner use? That's how adults invest. Children chase the toy, adults buy the factory. Now, why does gold and silver matter in this equation? Gold is not just a shiny rock for aunties at weddings. Gold is ancient money, God's money. Gold is what people run to when paper starts sounding suspicious, like it is right now. And whether you like it or not, the Bible says, I am the Lord, the silver is mine, and the gold is mine. Silver and gold is God's money. When government prints too much, gold listens. When empires borrow too much, gold listens. When wars escalate, gold listens. When central banks lose credibility, gold listens. Gold is not emotional. Gold is accountable, meaning there's only so much of it in supply, and therefore it's precious. Gold just sits there like an old prophet with no Instagram account. Does not need Wi-Fi or board meeting. Doesn't even need password reset. Does not say, please verify your identity by selecting all squares with traffic lights. Gold simply says, I have seen empires long before you, and I'll see empires long after you. Silver is gold's more dramatic cousin. Silver can move harder because it is smaller and more industrial. Gold is the elder. Silver is the nephew with potential and anger management issues. Both matter in a real asset cycle, but the principle is this. When trust in paper falls, trust in things rises. Now, here's what Trump should do if he's listening, or perhaps you're Trump's cousin and you're watching today. President Trump, if you're listening, and I know someone will send this to someone who will send it to someone who once stood near the ketchup bottle at Mar-a-Lago. Please listen carefully. This is no longer the art of the deal. This is the deal. We can't treat Hormuz like a branding exercise. Hormuz is not a campaign prop. Hormuz is the neck of the global oil system. Iran does not need to win a conventional war, and this is why this prophecy is so important. I hear ceasefire, not a ceasefire. I hear ceasefire, not a ceasefire. You know, I don't know what's led to this deal, but Iran only needs to keep pressure on the throat long enough for oil spike, inflation rise, bonds to break, and your economic story to collapse. So what should you do? Number one, Mr. President, with humility and respect, secure the free flow of Hormuz without humiliating Iran so badly that they choose martyrdom over compromise. Never negotiate with a civilization by only calculating what it wants to gain. You're negotiating with a spiritual principality, a cult of death, a belief system that believes that dying for its God is more honorable than living for it. You must calculate what it's willing to lose. Iran is generational. They don't just believe in themselves like America does. No, they believe in securing the future of their children by blowing themselves up on a plane if they have to. You must calculate that. Iran may be willing to lose more than America anticipates. And that makes them dangerous. Number two, don't confuse optics with oxygen. Markets may like a headline. Ships need reality. A press conference does not reopen a strait. Signed paper doesn't calm a tanker captain. A handshake doesn't lower insurance premiums. A true social post doesn't magically bring oil through contested waters. We need actual maritime flow. And number three, if there's a way, sir, to make this deal more verifiable, trust is not a strategy, verification is. Number four, we need to not allow the dollar to depend on endless emergency theater. America cannot keep living from crisis to crisis, bailout to bailout, liquidity injection to liquidity injection, and still pretend that this is strength. America needs a courageous leader, a Thatcherite, somebody who can tell us what's really going on and how bad the budget sheet is. We don't need parents who are pretending that everything's okay whilst the ship is being jumped. We need parents who can tell us, Mommy and Daddy are in some financial problems, and we're going to have to take some time out to figure this thing out. And hopefully if we can all work together, because now I trust you all as grown children, perhaps as grown children we can get through this crisis together. We did it in World War I. We did it in World War II. We just need a leader courageous enough to tell us the truth so that we can band together and do it again. Number five, can we rebuild the industrial base? The future doesn't belong to nations that only financialize. China is proving this. It belongs to nations that can produce food, energy, chips, steel, medicine, ships, defense, data information. A nation that cannot make things eventually becomes dependent on nations that can. And nations like China that can literally upend the American economy by corporate espionage and stealing ideas from the few Elon Musks that can build. Can we invest in a skills gap market? Can the church actually engage the federal to actually create systems and education and training programs that can get our children back to industrial work? Number six, I believe it's important that we stop treating AI like a stock market decoration. AI could be national infrastructure if stewarded well. If America loses the infrastructure race, it will lose the future. Number seven, most importantly, tell the truth. The American people are tired of being lied to. We're tired of being treated like children. We're tired of politicians telling us everything's okay whilst they're running side hustles with our children's future being held at hostage to many of their financial misdeeds. We're tired of watching Nancy Pelosi miraculously make billions of dollars off of insider trading whilst arresting our children for doing the same thing. People can handle pain a lot better than they can handle deception. It's time to stop saying everything's fine if it's not fine. It's time to say we're in a really dangerous transition. We are stabilizing oil, protecting the bond market, rebuilding production, and preparing America for the next age. I believe that is leadership. I want to just talk briefly. If you think this is helpful and you think somebody needs to hear this, please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. It encourages me to continue to simplify or interpret the world around you in a greater way. Believe me, I'm not just looking for more followers. I'm looking to get this message out, and it's your share that helps do that. Now let's go prophetic, because what's happening at Hormuz is not merely a blockade, it's a siege. A siege is when an enemy does not need to destroy you instantly or militarily. He only needs to restrict your access long enough for your internal systems to fail. A siege doesn't weaponize guns, it weaponizes time. The enemy says, I don't need to kill you today. I only need to stop food, water, trade, movement, and hope long enough for you to collapse from the inside. And that is what's happening in Iran, and it's what happened in Samaria in 2 Kings chapter 6. The city was besieged until food became absurdly expensive. A donkey's head sold for silver. Donkeys were unclean animals, and nobody wants to eat a donkey's head, believe me, there's no meat there. Dove's droppings. Some argue that dove's droppings were sold as a substitute for salt. That's how bad the economy got. When siege hits, worthless things become expensive because access has been cut off. That is inflation. Inflation is what happens when access is restricted, and desperation reprices reality. And in that siege, the prophet Elisha rises and says, tomorrow about this time. That is prophetic intervention. That, Mr. President, that America is what God can do when a nation humbles itself to the Lord. And I declare that if we'll humble ourselves before the Lord, tomorrow about this time. That is prophetic intervention. A prophet does not merely describe the siege. A prophet declares the break in the siege. But here's the strange part. How did God break the siege? Not through Israel's army. God made the enemy hear the sound of chariots when lepers moved. The enemy panicked. The siege broke. God used the people nobody expected, the ravens. That's the theme. God doesn't always break a siege through hawks or doves. Sometimes he sends ravens. Hawks represent war, doves peace. Ravens represent strange supernatural provision. Elijah was fed by ravens. The bird that should have been unclean became the catering department of heaven. God said, I have commanded the ravens to feed you, not the doves, not the hawks, not the respectable birds on the foreign exchange market, not even the clean branding and soft worship playlists birds. Ravens. Crows. Why? Because when God is training a prophet, he often feeds him through what offends his preferences. And this is where we must understand the moment. Everyone is asking, will Walsh be hawkish or dovish? Will Trump choose war or peace? Will markets go risk on or risk off? Will Iran yield or strangle? But God may be saying, I'm releasing the ravens. That means provision is coming to you through strange channels. Not the obvious place, not the comfortable, not the clean, not the things you would have chosen. A raven economy is an economy where God feeds his people through unexpected instruments. Ravens could be hard assets, AI. While everyone chases paper, God says, look at land, look at metal, look at energy, look at cloud, look at ChatGPT, look at water production, look at Bitcoin. Ravens could be data centers. While everyone chases AI apps, God says, look at the infrastructure beneath the intelligence. Ravens could be energy. While everyone wants clean narratives, God says the future still needs power. Ravens could be overlooked nations. While everyone watches America and Iran, God's saying, hey, God, look what's happening in China and Hong Kong. Watch Africa. Watch Taiwan. Watch the Gulf. Watch where the future is being built. Ravens could be unusual partnerships. God may feed you through people you would not normally sit with. Ravens could be recession, because a downturn can reposition disciplined people. Ravens are correction, because markets falling can become entry points for people who prepared. It could be wisdom, the most valuable asset in a confused age. Not information, it's interpretation. That is why this is called prophetication. We're not just reporting events, we're interpreting the age. So here is what I want you to watch for on Wednesday. Let me give you a practical list, okay? When you hear Walsh speak this Wednesday, listen for 5 things. Number 1, listen for inflation language. If he says inflation is temporary, easing, contained, or transitory, without using the old cursed word too loudly, that is dovish. Again, markets may like it. If he says inflation is persistent, elevated, sticky, or concerning, that's hawkish. That means markets may not like it. Number 2, treasury market language. If he mentions stress in the treasury market, market functioning, liquidity tools, or readiness to act, that means the Fed is watching the bond market closely. That's code for we know where the bodies are buried. Number 3, labor market language. If he says the job market is softening, that gives him permission to cut later. If he says jobs remain strong, that gives him less permission to cut. Number 4, the dollar. After he speaks, watch the dollar index. If the dollar weakens, markets may be pricing future liquidity. If the dollar strengthens, markets may be pricing tighter conditions. Number 5, gold, Bitcoin, and stocks after hours. Don't only watch the speech, watch the market reaction, because sometimes the market tells what the speech really meant. Number 10, what do we do? Now, practically, what should you do? First, get liquid. Please write this down. Liquidity means having cash or near cash available. We're stepping into a future where, whether you like it or not, cash is king. And staying liquid matters. I'm not saying go sell everything and turn everything into liquid, but have enough liquidity to make any next big decision that may come along, whether to buy or to move, relocate, or do whatever. Not because cash is perfect, but because cash gives you options. If you don't have cash liquidity right now, there are things you can do right now to generate what we call cash flow. You got to look beyond your job, lock yourself away, and spend some time really talking to the Lord about what can I start to do to create cash flow and cash liquidity. In a crisis, the person with cash can move. Second, reduce what we call stupid debt. Okay? Not all debt is evil. Okay? I wouldn't imagine your mortgage, as long as you're paying it, is evil. But stupid debt, you know what stupid debt means. That's stupid credit card debt. You know what? Do some plastic surgery tonight. Get some scissors and cut that credit card in half. Stop getting out of debt and then going back into debt. Cut it. Cut that lifestyle debt. Stay away from Gucci. Go to what you call it? Walmart. It's got really good socks in that place. T-shirts too. Maybe downsize the home. You don't need a big house at this point. Oh, but I love my big house. Well, your big house is getting big expensive. Cut the vanity debts. Cut the impression debts. Cut the, what will everybody think about me if I downsize debts? I bought it because Instagram made me feel poor. Cut that debt. Kill it. Third, build exposure to real assets wisely. I said wisely. Don't throw all your money into gold and silver. But get some gold, get some silver, get some energy, buy some land. productive business infrastructure, maybe Bitcoin for those who understand volatility. Not everything, not recklessly, not emotionally. Fourth, understand AI infrastructure. Don't just use AI. Those who use AI will be beaten by those who know what AI needs to work. Eventually, in the long run, you'll be, do you know what Clark can do? You know, Clark can make my shopping list. I mean, think more about the spade than the gold. Understand, develop a deep understanding of the infrastructure needed to work AI, and start asking God, where can I position myself for that day? It's coming. The infrastructure is coming. It needs water. You discovered that in my YouTube, in my prophetic education, at least yesterday. Understand what AI consumes: power, data, chips, cooling, security, land. Fifth, upskill. If AI can replace your task, become the person who manages the AI that's replacing your task. If AI can do your job, become the person who trains, supervises, interprets, or applies it. In other words, become irreplaceable. Become the replacement of what is trying to replace you. Okay? If AI can do your job, then become the boss of the AI that's doing your job. Sixth, build community. The early church was not just spiritual, it was economically resilient. They broke bread, they shared, they met needs. A lonely Christian in a supercycle is vulnerable. And if you'd like me to talk about supercycles and define what they are, please just type in the chat after this. Love you to talk about supercycles, and we'll do a whole education on a supercycle. Seventh, pray over gates. Hormuz is a gate. Taiwan is going to be the next important gate around 2028. We're going to be talking about Taiwan. Malacca is a gate. Suez is a gate. Panama. The bond market is a gate. The Fed is a gate. Data centers are gates. AI is a gate. So when you say lift up your head, oh you city gates, just remember the gates you're speaking about. I hope you're less scared now we come to the end. If this feels frightening, breathe. Goal isn't fear. My goal in prophetic education is sobriety. It's to raise people who understand the times and know what to do. Training people to be prophets and prophets to be people is the core of who I am. God has never needed stable markets to feed his people. He fed Israel in the wilderness, Elijah by ravens, widows with a jar of oil, Samaria after siege, 5,000 with a boy's lunch. The question is not, can God provide? The question is, will we recognize the form provision takes in this season? Because sometimes provision looks like a dove. Sometimes it looks like a nice, cool, bold eagle. But in this season, it's going to look like ravens. And if you reject the ravens, you'll reject the seasons. If it doesn't match your religious imagination, then you'll reject it. And this is the conclusion. The world is asking hawk or dove, but heaven is answering ravens. Hawks tighten, doves loosen, ravens feed. Hawks represent discipline, doves represent relief. Ravens represent supernatural provision through unlikely instruments. And in this season, God may not be asking you to pick fear or fantasy. Perhaps he's asking you to become wise enough to prepare, invest, maybe reduce some debt, understand markets, pray over nations, seek siege tactics. Wise enough to know when a deal is not just diplomacy, but oxygen. This is no longer the art of the deal. This is the deal. Because if Hormuz is the neck, oil is the breath, inflation is the fever, bonds are the heart, and the Fed, unfortunately, is the doctor. And Wednesday is when the doctor tells us whether he plans to treat the patient or pretend the patient is fine. But the church isn't called to panic in the waiting room. We're called to interpret the age. So, welcome to Prophetic Education, where we don't just watch the news, we discern the times. And to my Issachars and Issachants, Christians and Christians, saints and ain'ts, this is not the hour to be scared. This is the hour to be sober, because God is still God. And he still knows how to feed prophets with ravens. I really hope you've enjoyed this. In the in the chat and description, there's our new AI fully integrated website called understandmydream.com. And it's a great way for prophets like you to wake up from your dream, write it into that thing, and it will journal every dream you've had. It'll put it in sequences for you. It will keep it as long as you keep your account, and it will decode it for you. And actually will come with a dream dictionary as well. It will come with tools for you to pray into. It's the latest thing that we built, and I hope the tool enhances your spiritual journey. I'm the product of dream and dream interpretation, and I would love to share that gift with the world. And so we built this into the technology so that perhaps you, by the Holy Spirit and prayer, can have a greater understanding of what God shows you. If you've enjoyed this program and you'd like to let us know what you want us to talk about, please let us know in the description below. But for now, you've been watching Prof Education. I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast today. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.